Singapore's future is looking greener and more sustainable thanks in part to the coronavirus pandemic. Transport Minister Ong Ye Kung said today in his ministry's addendum to the President's speech, the lower traffic and new travel patterns brought about by COVID-19 have opened a window of opportunity to reimagine our road infrastructure. Some ideas in the works include converting roads for pedestrian use and underused road lanes into cycling paths and bus lanes. It was previously announced that the cycling path network will be extended to 1,300 kilometers by 2030. That is 3 times the current length.
Meanwhile, Sustainability and Environment Minister Grace Fu today announced 4,000 new and upgraded jobs will be created in the next 12 months and 55,000 over the next 10 years. They include roles in high-tech agriculture and aquaculture, food safety and cleaning and waste management. MSE will also develop local talent by offering scholarships in areas like climate adaptation and climate sciences.
Now, one theme is apparent across the ministry's agenda today, that is developing Singapore in a sustainable way. So we're now joined by Environment Correspondent Audrey Tan. Audrey, from MND planning for more eco-friendly HDB towns and estates to MOT looking at improving travel patterns, we're looking at a more sustainable Singapore in the future, well, hopefully. Now, do you think the government's priorities have changed, if at all, to bring sustainability to the fore?
I think it's worth noting that sustainability has been mentioned in earlier government agendas before. So, for example, we've had Sustainable Singapore Blueprint, which sets out goals such as, having people's houses located near public transport nodes or having people's homes near parks. So the focus on sustainability itself, I wouldn't say is particularly new, but I do think that the pandemic has brought about certain gaps that have highlighted the need for people to be more sustainable than before. And while the pandemic could eventually, be eased with the development of a vaccine, there's also the other issue of climate change to worry about. And ever since PM Lee brought it up and nudged climate change on the national agenda last year in his National Day rally speech, we have been seeing more ministries, including sustainability, into their ministry's agenda beyond just like the Ministry for Sustainability and the Environment.
Well, Audrey, you alluded to this earlier, but could you elaborate on this? In what ways has COVID-19 driven the importance of ramping up our sustainability efforts?
So I think one thing that came across in the multiple ministries' addenda today is that sustainability goes beyond just environmental protection. They also highlighted the importance of ensuring sustainable livelihoods, which is why Minister Ong Ye Kung talked about, re-kickstarting Singapore's aviation hub. So that's one issue, like, ensuring that Singaporeans constantly have jobs. Ms. Grace Fu also talked about the importance of having new jobs in the sustainability sector, even as Singapore pursues sustainable development. So that's one. And beyond that, with climate change, MND's plans to make Singapore a city in nature, to green the HDB towns, also talks about, ensuring that people's standard of living, quality of living would still be improved, even though, climate change might cause temperatures to go up higher and higher and so on. So I do think that the definition of sustainability has kind of changed in a bit.
Now, Audrey, while the government and companies can strive to build a more sustainable Singapore moving forward, the onus is also on Singaporeans to play their part. Is there enough incentive for the everyday man to take up the cause? And if not, what more can be done?
Okay, so sustainability is quite broad, but I'm guessing that you're talking specifically on environmental sustainability in this aspect. So in Singapore, a lot of the onus has been on companies and corporations to be able to take up the role of being sustainable and all that. For example, in Singapore, we do not impose a surcharge on the use of single-use bags, unlike other countries like in the UK, where you have to actually pay to use bags. And the aim of that is to reduce the amount of waste that's used in the first place. But in Singapore, our approach to reducing waste is not really on the individual, but on companies. So recently, we had a new Resource Sustainability Act that was passed in Parliament, which aims to get storeholders or companies to be more concerned about the waste that they produce. Another thing that we are trying to do in Singapore is to reuse the incineration bottom ash. as a way of prolonging the lifespan of our landfill. So I would say, yeah, no, we don't have a lot of incentives in Singapore to go green in certain aspects. But I do think that there is still a role for the individuals to play. I mean, in the climate circles, it's quite debatable about how much individual action can actually have an impact on climate change, on emissions. But I do think personally that it's important, not for the outcome in itself, but because it sends a signal. It sends a signal to the government that, you know, Singaporeans are ready to do more to push for climate change, and it also sends a signal to companies, you know, that the consumers are more discerning about what they buy, and I think that could have quite a significant impact in the long run.